alignment with that rule. Thanks both of Private City Talk. Once again, I'd like to welcome you to this press briefing that has been put together. And I'd like to say that the Minister of Information and Strategy, Honorable Commissioner Attorney General, sir, I'd like to say that in addition to, as well, in addition, I speak to you, this event is streaming live. The address LagosState.tv. I also like to say that the Facebook address is our Twitter handle is @follow LASG of Information and Strategy. I'd like therefore to implore you to please. Well, having done that, let me quickly introduce dignitaries that are here. So in the ministry, Mr. Quadri is also here. Mr. Gilio Martins is also here. Let's put our hands together for him. The Director Advisory Services, Mrs. Kola Wale. Director Commercial Law, Mrs. Fumi. Director General and Public Trustee, Mrs. Miriam Olani. Shakirat Babatunde. Director Citizen Odusonya. Mrs. Rotimi Omotola. Mrs. Clara Ibiroga. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Solid Congratulations. I also like to introduce the strategy, our very own permanent secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Uluwati Odutola. Well, at this stage, Honorable Commissioner, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take a back seat for the Minister of Information and Strategy. So please step forward and make the introductory remark. Thereafter, Commissioner for Justice to brief us on this occasion. I'd like to prepare.
That in the last 365 days, when the Ministry of Justice gave the rendition of the account of stewardship, that God in His mercy has spared our life to witness stewardship from the last 365 days. We know in Lagos that it is not yet to Uru, and that is why we don't rest on our words, because the race to excellence has no finish line. And for the Ministry of Justice, a lot of innovation and dedication to duty and focused, purposeful administration has been able to be achieved in Lagos, more particularly because of that ministry. The caliber of the officers, the directors there, and the depth of knowledge, the zeal to work, and the enthusiasm to do the best for Lagos State. And we have, at the head of the administration, a son with a sound mind as the administrative head of that ministry. My brother, the Solicitor General, and the Permanent Secretary Ministry of Justice. And we have a very competent, able, humane, and focused administrator par excellence as well, and a lawyer that is of good repute. I'm talking of no other person than the very amiable Honorable Commissioner for Ministry of Justice, Mr. Ajay Upai. He has, over the years, been very serious in giving quality service to Lagos State in any area that his attention is needed. He has contributed immensely when he was estate taxation, and the wisdom of the leaders when he became the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. He has never disappointed all of us, both the citizenry of Lagos State and those of us lucky to work with him. I have the pleasure of inviting him this morning to give the account of stewardship of the ministry in the last 365 days. I thank you.
To give an account of the stewardship in particular relating to the last 365 days of the administration of His Excellency Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, as Governor of Lagos State. The annual briefing which we are doing today has become customary, but we all know that this particular one is a special one. A special one because it is the last in the life of this administration. It is also the briefing that will mark the conclusion of my tenure and stewardship as Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Lagos State. So I will start by thanking all of those people that have made all that possible. First, whatever I'm going to say today as having been done by the ministry or its agencies would not have been possible if not for the dedication, the zeal, the very diligent pursuit of all that had been assigned to us to do by the Solicitor General and Permanent Secretary, by directors in the ministry, by staff of every cadre, both lawyers and non-lawyers, who had done their, and the good people of Lagos State, because we are essentially a service ministry, and really much of what we do must be accepted and appreciated by the people before we can say that we really have done it as expected. In that regard, we have found cooperation amongst the people of Lagos State. We have also found a parallel cooperation in the judiciary, because we work essentially with the judiciary in the area of justice sector administration and justice sector reforms. And I am grateful to all of those that I've mentioned earlier and to those that I have not mentioned for all that they've been able to contribute to the success of this administration. Now, in giving this report, I want to start once again by clarifying that we, as a ministry, we have responsibility to the people of Lagos State and to the government of Lagos State. And for this purpose, I do not want to make the sweeping generalization of saying they are all the same, because we serve government as legal advisors. You know, we advise government on sundry issues, and when I say government, I mean all the ministries, departments, and agencies of government. We draft contracts for them, and we represent them in court. But that is, as I said, on the one hand. We also recognize that we have obligations directly to the people of Lagos State. And so when I come to talk about our citizens' rights initiatives, our citizens' mediation effort, our Office of the Public Defender, our Administrator General and Public Trustee, I will be dwelling more on services that we render directly to the people of Lagos State, for which we are also aware that they are supposed to hold us accountable. So let me start with the access to justice aspects of our endeavor. Of course, this particular briefing is to focus mainly on the last 365 days. So it is an annual briefing. So sometimes I might talk about what we've done over the past 4 years, but the focus essentially, unless I say otherwise, the focus essentially is on the 1 year period ending just about now. Technically to end by the end of May, but we take the 1 year period as the period between the last briefing and this one, which we are doing today. Now, access to justice is at the core of our functions, whether as a ministry or in the way in which we cooperate with the judiciary and with the police, the prisons, and all other agencies that are working on the issue of law and order in the state. Now, this administration of Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, has the firm belief that justice is not just an abstract concept. We do not talk about justice for the sake of it, but we want to take concrete steps to ensure that justice really comes to the doorstep of the people. Now, one of the ways of doing that is to improve access, okay? That is, to bring the law courts closer to the people. Access can be improved in many other ways, and I will talk about them as we go on. But in the process of bringing law courts closer to our people, we are concerned to see that if someone has a problem and needs to use the machinery of the law courts and happens to be resident in Ikorodu, he does not have to come to Lagos Island before he can get to a court of competent jurisdiction, even at the high court level. In the same way, we are concerned that someone in Ekpe is not compelled to come to Ikeja, or even someone in Ajegunle is not compelled to come every morning to Ikeja before he can make his case. So this administration has made a conscious effort to now establish courts in places that are closer, central, but closer to where the people actually live. So within the past year, we have commissioned court complexes which combine the magistrates and the high court in one single building. The one in Ikorodu was commissioned by His Excellency the Governor and named after the Honorable Justice Ademola Candid Johnson, who served as the third Chief Judge of Lagos State between 1985 and 1989. And talking about the Ikorodu Court Complex is a combination, as I said, of High Court and Magistrate Court. So it's also an opportunity for us to raise the standard of facilities available to our magistrates. So you can see that in the new courts that are being built now, magistrates have a part, and that means that they enjoy some of the common facilities with the high court judges, which, if you look at it, means that they have better working conditions than they had before now. His Excellency also commissioned the one at Ekpe, now named as the Justice Ligali Ayorinde Courthouse. Justice Ayorinde was the fourth Chief Judge of Lagos State who served between 1989 and 1995. And the one which was commissioned at Ikeja was named after Justice Roslyn Omotosho, the fifth and the first female Chief Judge of Lagos State. Also talking about Ikeja, we had earlier inaugurated the Judiciary Archives and Property Litigation Registry, also named after Justice Roselyn Omotosho. Now the purpose of that registry is to facilitate a search by anyone who has any issues relating to land. Maybe you want to buy land and you want to be sure that that land is free of litigation. So not only do you go to the land registry, you can also go to that registry within the vicinity of the court headquarters to really make sure that the land is not under litigation. If it is under litigation, then you can look at the details and find out what the dispute is about and make up your mind whether it is safe to continue with that transaction or not. So the courts at Ekpe and Ikeja were commissioned during the period under review. His Excellency's administration has also focused on the idea of creating very conducive facilities for arbitration in Lagos, rather than have arbitration go to Paris, to London, to other capitals of the world. We think that Lagos is exceptionally well placed to have a court of arbitration that can serve the sub-region, that can serve disputants from all over the world, because it will come to build trust. And the Lagos Court of Arbitration Law was also accompanied by the Lagos Arbitration Law, which also provides up-to-date rules for the conduct of arbitration in Lagos State. That complex has also been completed and will soon be commissioned by His Excellency the Governor. Now, the court complexes at Ekpe and Ikeja, which are mentioned, I must say, are modern and fully furnished. So they come already delivered and are being put to use. Fully furnished and air-conditioned courtrooms for the judges and magistrates, with chambers and secretaries' offices attached to each of the court complexes, a reception and waiting area, robing room for lawyers, registries within the complex, furnished staff canteen, holding cells for male and female accused persons, generator room, water treatment plant, CCTV facilities, and so on and so forth. So you see what I mean when I said these are ultra-modern court complexes that are meant to upgrade even our facilities, especially those available to magistrates, because magistrates will now also function in these complexes. Before I leave that issue, I want to say also that we have 4 of these complexes that are still under construction and nearing completion, actually. We have one in Badagry, which is 80% completed now. We have one at Ogba, 90% completed. We have one at Ajegunle, 85% completed. So you can see that within the current year, 3 new court complexes will definitely be opened. The last one at Igondo is still at 22% because we have problems with the contractor who was handling it from the beginning, and we had to cancel that contract and re-award. So that one is going quite slowly, but you can see that the others are nearing completion. During this period, the last year, we have also ensured that the High Court has its full complement of judges. In fact, 7 judges were sworn in 2 batches within the past year. The first had 4, and then the second had 3. And, well, the reason for insisting on quickly filling the vacancies as they arise and having a full complement is that we all say justice delayed is justice denied. And we all know that the workload in Lagos State is quite high. So when you have judges retiring, judges leaving the bench, and you don't fill the vacancies, inevitably you are going to put more burden on the other remaining judges, which will not be fair. This is why we've always had these vacancies promptly filled. In fact, His Excellency had the opportunity to swear in up to 26 honorable judges within his tenure as governor. Now I go to the law and order initiatives. And this, I must say, is one of the factors responsible for the peace and sustained growth and development of state, law and order. That is what we mean when we refer to the word civilization. If people act with impunity and they don't feel bound by law and order, you and I know that we cannot do business successfully, we cannot live successfully within the community. So I will start with the laws that we have been able to pass through, of course, the State House of Assembly with the assent of His Excellency, the Governor. These laws come pursuant to an established principle, and that is that where we see gaps in our legal system, where we see activities that are not well covered by law, we will not hold back. We will quickly, as an executive arm of government, prepare a draft bill, review it at the State Executive Council, and send it for consideration of the House of Assembly. Again, where we already have laws guiding particular activities, and we see some shortcomings, some inadequacies in those laws, again, we will not hesitate to make sure that we bring up those laws for review. So you will either find that we are making new laws or we are reviewing existing laws. So within the year, we've had the Consumer Protection Agency Law of 2014, which was to establish the Lagos State Consumer Protection Agency and provide for the protection of the interest of consumers and settlement of consumer disputes. Before this law, consumer protection matters had been handled in quite a fragmented fashion. We have, under the Directorate for Citizens' Rights in the Ministry of Justice, a consumer protection unit. And we also have a similar unit in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So by virtue of this law of 2014, we are now to have one agency dealing with consumer protection issues in Lagos State. And as you can imagine, that agency will not just have lawyers, it will also have other professionals who will work together to ensure that where consumers are aggrieved, they have a place to go, remedies can be pursued, and this would also put manufacturers and service providers on their toes, give them the necessity to improve their services, improve their products, because they know that where they give bad products, there will be consequences. We also had, during the same period, the Lagos State Urban and Regional Planning and Development Amendment Law. This, as I said, was not a new law, but brought in to review the pre-existing laws, consolidate some of them, and improve on them. So we have now a new improved Lagos State Urban and Regional Planning Law by virtue of this amendment. You will recall that also within the year we had the regulation of smoking law 2014, which sort of tightened the rules about the regulation of smoking in public places. We also have the Mortgage and Property Amendment Law of 2015. Again, before this law, we had a few different laws dealing with the issue of mortgages, you know, and property matters. So this was an opportunity to make the changes that we thought was necessary to make sure that mortgage transactions in Lagos State are particularly well regulated. And our mortgage board, in view of our home ownership and mortgage scheme, we also wanted to make sure that we had a mortgage board that was well equipped to do its work to ensure the success of the home ownership and mortgage scheme in Lagos State. So this amendment fine-tunes the board membership of the mortgage board just to ensure that we had the desired efficacy. Then we have, as usual, the appropriation laws and the appropriation amendment laws. These are the laws we made every year pursuant to the passage of the annual budget for that year. So that is the law that actually encapsulates the budget for the year, and it is often amended towards the end of the year in order to fine-tune it where, for instance, government thinks that it wants to move or spend money from one area to another, or you also want to rearrange its priorities. We also have the Facilities Management and Maintenance Law passed during the year under review with the objective of providing for the effective preservation and maintenance of assets owned or controlled by the state government. You all agree with the contention that one of the problems of our public assets before now had been the issue of maintenance. Okay, so this government is consciously paying attention to that and saying that it's not enough to build infrastructure, to have new buildings here and there. We must institutionalize the ways and means of ensuring that those buildings are well kept to serve the intended purpose and well kept enough for the people of Lagos State to derive fully the benefits that they were supposed to derive from such properties for the intended duration too, because with maintenance, you know, you can have use of that facility for longer. So to take advantage of all that, His Excellency gave his assent to the Facilities Management and Maintenance Law. The last one I want to talk about is this Lagos State Land Registration Law of 2015, also passed within the year under review. And what this does is to make it easy for landowners, land purchasers, agents, everyone interested in property transactions, trying to trace the source of property, to establish whether property is registered, and to get details concerning such properties. Because before now, you had to look at a few different laws before you can come to a reliable conclusion. But this Lagos State Land Registration Law has now consolidated all existing rules on property registration so that you only need to look at this one law. Of course, in addition to this is a work in progress. We have a directorate for legislative drafting, which is always working, always receiving proposals for draft bills, draft legislation from various quarters, especially from government NDAs. and they have, as we speak, up to 45 of such proposals which are under consideration. Now, one of this matter of new laws and review of the laws and law reform, I want to mention the fact that we have in place a law reform commission, and I'm sure I must have alluded to this an earlier briefing. And the objective of this commission is to ensure that our laws are kept updated and readily accessible to the general public. Now, why I'm mentioning it today in particular is that the last published compilation of the laws of Lagos State was in 2003. But now the Law Reform Commission has completed a new compilation. So we are going to have very soon all of the amendments made to our laws since 2003, all the new laws that have come in 2003, which are not already printed in the laws of Lagos State. We are going to have all of them consolidated and reprinted, so that by having the new set, you don't need to look elsewhere. All of the laws applicable in Lagos State, as amended, as supplemented, will now be in one single batch. So that, as I said, is ready, but it is going through the House because we are also taking the opportunity to review some of the penalty clauses. Some of these laws are old. The penalties prescribed, especially the fines, are now outdated. So where you have a law prescribing a fine of 10 naira, for instance, you know that that law is no longer relevant to the current times. So we are taking the opportunity to review all the fines, which means that they have to be properly passed. The amount to amendments which have to properly pass through the House. And approval has been given to the Commission to present draft bills consisting of 252 laws, which have been compiled to the House of Assembly for passage into law. I'm aware that this compilation is already under consideration by the House. And once they are done with it, the next is to have the new sets of the laws of Lagos State. Now, we are also making the effort to ensure that these laws are not now just available in print, in book format. They are also going to be available in electronic format. So through your phone, through your iPad, through your laptops or desktops, you can access the laws of Lagos State as amended and consolidated. So the Law Reform Commission has implemented a system for storage, archival, retrieval, and development of all the laws of Lagos State. All the laws that are extant and applicable to Lagos State on an internet software solution known as the Lagos Law Management System. The aim of this project is to automate the process of document management, retrieval, and archiving in order to improve the efficacy and timeliness of storing and retrieving our laws electronically from anywhere in the world. Once you have internet access, you will be able to get into this system and call up any legislation that you want to work on. Now, from matters of law reform, legislative drafting, and enactment of laws, I want to move to talk more particularly on the protection of citizens' rights. Now, we have 4 key departments working on this. 2 of them are also statutory agencies. As you may be aware, the Office of the Public Defender is established by law, and in consequence of that, the director in the Office of the Public Defender will be addressing you very briefly after my address. We also have established by law the Citizens Mediation Center, and I will just give highlights of what has been happening in those statutory agencies. The directors will have about 5 to 10 minutes each to elaborate on aspects of the report which they consider important once I am through. Now, so as I said, I will give a general overview. The policy thrust of the OPD, I'm starting with the Office of the Public Defender, was not only the enforcement of legal rights of citizens. The OPD is also attentive to the socio-economic rights of the poor and vulnerable groups in our society, including women and children. People come to OPD, especially the indigent. Sometimes they come on their own, sometimes they are referred, sometimes they come from other agencies of government who tell them that their matters will be best handled by OPD. And in the last year, they had 15,000 of such cases referred to them, 15,000 on behalf of indigent Lagosians, which they handle at no cost. If you wonder what kind of cases these are, some of them are employer-employee disputes, civil matters, criminal cases, coroner's inquest, fundamental rights enforcement cases, and so on and so forth. Now, OPD has also facilitated the collection of over 42 million as compensation, because sometimes when the petitioner comes and complains against his employer or against his landlord or whatever the case may be, by the time the matters are mediated, there may be sometimes voluntary agreement to pay, and sometimes it is done by resort to the law court. But as I said, about 42 million on the whole collected in the last 1 year by OPD on behalf of clients, people who had come to them. OPD also secured 49 judgments in favor of its clients. As I said, they go to court to represent indigent people, and the director will give you some of the examples of people who have taken advantage of these services. Now, related to the OPD, but not entirely within its purview, is the Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team. I say related to OPD because OPD is a prominent player in that team. The team was established by the current administration to improve the safety of vulnerable persons and ensure offender responsibility by providing a cross-jurisdictional response that is uniform in approach in Lagos State. Response to what? Response to domestic and sexual violence. Because we noticed at the point that, we were getting a lot of reports of child molestation, of rape, of sexual offenses across the state. And we looked inwards and found that we had various agencies dealing with such matters, and all of them were not necessarily working in tandem with one another. One may not even know what the other was doing. So the idea of the team was to now bring together all of the main players, whether the police or the Office of the Public Defender or the Directorate of Citizens' Rights, or even the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. All of these coming together to meet regularly, to strategize, to review responses and find improvements. And you might recall at the time the team was set up, His Excellency also endorsed publicly an executive order which established a sex offenders register and provided for mandated reporting of sexual offenses of child molestation. This mandated reporting idea is to the effect that if, for instance, a teacher in the course of his or her work in a school, let us say a primary or secondary school, comes across a child who appears to have been molested or raped, he or she, the teacher, is obliged now to file a report to make sure that that incident is brought to the attention of the Attorney General's office. And we will then decide what we can do to assist the victim and to apprehend the offenders and prosecute as may be necessary. And then the sex offenders register, we thought that if anyone had been found guilty of a sex offense or is notorious for sex offenses, and then we should have a record on which the name of that person features, so that anyone thinking of hiring staff to deal, for instance, with small children, with vulnerable people, can make a check and make sure that the person he or she is proposing to engage is clean, it's not on the sex offenders register. For now, 140 convicted sex offenders are on the register, and the idea is to grow it and keep it as a facility readily available for consultation by those that have fears, that wants to check whether a particular person or the other has had any conviction for any sex offense. Now, within the criminal justice administration system, we are having much improved working relationship. And when I talk about criminal justice administration, I'm talking of the judiciary, the high court, the magistrate courts, especially. I'm talking of the Ministry of Justice, the police, the prisons, even statutory agencies, all of whom are working, DPP's office, especially in the Ministry of Justice, all of whom are working on criminal justice issues. We meet quarterly now. When I say we, I mean the Honorable Chief Judge, myself as Attorney General, the Commissioner of Police, Controller of Prisons in Lagos State, and other heads of relevant agencies. We meet quarterly, and then we have a subcommittee that meets more often. And by sharing ideas, by coming together regularly in this way, we are able to apprehend problematic issues and find solutions to them. Part of our collaborative activities is the effort of the state government in building facilities for the police. For instance, now we have ongoing the construction of an area command at Elemoro, Ibejuleki. Actually, the phase 1, which is the main admin block, is completed. So it's only the other facilities around that are put in phase 2 of the contract, and they are under construction now. So the main phase 1 contract for area command at Elemoro, Ibejuleki, is completed. Same for the one at Ilashe, Ibeshe.